Good morning. Today is June 2nd and a very warm one at that. Seems like we've jumped from winter to summer and scratched over spring. So still no COVID cases in our residents and staff that we know of. And I'll come back to that. Congratulations to all of you for being very diligent in your hygiene and distancing. It's made a difference. When people in the community ask me how we're doing, and I tell them we haven't had any reported cases, they're astonished given what's happening in the rest of the country. We have all the PPE we will need for the near future, and now with the supply lines opening up, we'll order more as the need becomes evident. Please ask your supervisor if you need supplies to stay safe. Again, we have enough for everybody. A few minutes ago, I said we had no cases that we know of. By that, I mean many of our residents and staff could be carrying the virus without symptoms like fever, cough, fatigue, etc. Or as the experts call it, they're asymptomatic. Case in point, in my last communication to you, I discussed the nursing home where my mother is in West St. Paul. A month ago, it had 0 cases. They had 240 residents and probably a like number of staff. Then about May 6th, the first case arose, and now about 110 residents and 60 or more staff are infected. Their census is down by almost 100 beds. They're in very, very deep trouble. My mother had a test on May 15th and was negative. They tested her again May 22nd and found that she was positive. On May 28th, I received a call that she still had no symptoms. Her temperature was 98 degrees, her oxygen level was 95, and she had no cough or other symptoms. That was 5 days ago, and I've had no updates. But the point being, that was 6 days after she was tested, she had no symptoms. This is very critical to this country because our scientists are still learning more about this virus every day. I heard the unfortunate news yesterday that this is affecting very young kids in a very serious manner. There were little babies as young as 6 weeks old that had died from the virus, some other complications that are affecting infants. And we all know the elderly are affected greatly by this too. The importance of this very personal case to me, my mother, is that if I were allowed to visit my mother in the last 2 weeks and none of us had known that she was positive with the virus, I probably would have contracted it from her, even though she had no symptoms, and I would be infected today. What we're all going through with our residents and family is sure hell. I can't see my mother, I can't talk to her. I realize the staff at the nursing home must be in utter chaos over there. They moved my mother 3 times, from 3rd floor to 2nd floor to a place on the 1st floor where they're trying to segregate people who are symptomatic but don't have the virus, those that have tested, those that have it and are sick. And it's a lot of difficulty. We're going through the same anguish with our family, our residents, and our staff. And all I can say is all it takes is one case to have the same kind of problems that Westview Acres is having. Please remember this whole situation of asymptomatic people infecting others, and the 2 parties are not aware of where this virus will continue to spread, in some cases like wildfire. So if this pandemic isn't enough, the violence of this last week and the large crowds will continue to cause the spreading of this virus. You've all seen on the news probably these huge crowds, thousands of people together, some wearing masks, others not, but their eyes, if they didn't have shields, are potentially vulnerable. So no one knows what the implications of that are. Fortunate thing for us is we're in many rural communities, and where it's less congested, the virus tends to be smaller. I have a cabin in Sawyer County, Wisconsin, and a month ago there were no cases. Then there were 2 cases, and today there are only 8 cases. So that's quite restrained. You get into the large city, Minneapolis, St. Paul, New York City, the others. Minnesota on March 2nd had 2 cases. 2 cases on March 2nd, I remember that. Now we're over 20,000 cases and way too many deaths. So please, please continue your safe hygiene and distancing practice. We as a company will make it through this. When I know more about my mother, I will share that with you. Please be safe and God bless you. Thank you.